your City Hall. Yep. Today we raise the rainbow and transgender flags and proclaim June as Pride Month in Toronto. My name is Kristen Wong Tam, your City Councillor for Ward 27. These are my colleagues. I love you too. As the only out member of the LGBT community who sits on City Council, after the October 28th election, I'm hopeful and perhaps happily thinking that I might be joined by a few more. But not joking aside, I'd like to acknowledge and begin our proceedings and ceremony by acknowledging that we are gathered here on the traditional territories of the Mississaugas of the New Credit, the Haudenosaunee, the Huron-Wendat, and Toronto is home to many diverse Indigenous communities. We are under the bright blue skies, all co-stewards of the land and water. We have an obligation to honor treaties, to work hard and build true and meaningful reconciliation. We are part of this incredible journey, an involving story on Turtle Island. I'm so proud to be your MC. Thank you everyone for joining us today, and I'd like to especially thank Aaron Edgehill, Kevin Rambali, your Pride Toronto co-chairs. Olivia Nuama, Pride Toronto Executive Director. And I want to just quickly acknowledge a few VIPs who are very, very busy, but I see them year in and year out. And I know that the mayor is going to give a full acknowledgement of everyone's here, so don't be upset if I don't acknowledge you right now. There will be more coming. I'd like to acknowledge Reverend Brent Hawks, former senior pastor of MCC Church, as well as Jeff Rock, who is the current senior pastor of MCC Church. Thank you. Former Mayor Barbara Hall, TDSB Vice Chair Chris Moyes, Hang Dong, and Andrea Horvat, leader of the Ontario NDP Party. Thank you everyone. Today, the Pride Festival in Toronto is an internationally recognized event that celebrates diversity, freedom, respect, dignity, human rights, and love. But it hasn't always been this way. Individuals who identify as LGBTQ2S needed to come together to advocate and overcome adversity as a community, to build and fight for acceptance, respect. It was not easy for us to get here, although every year we gather here with very little effort. But the journey here has been long, and it has been fraught. Governments don't generally freely hand out human rights. We had to march, we had to riot, we had to organize, and we had to politically rise to demand the right to be seen, the right to be heard, and the right to be treated as human beings. That's okay. You can applaud. Our inclusion into the social fabric of Toronto should never be taken for granted, never. But here we are, on the rooftop of City Hall, the house of democracy. We are celebrating love and diversity and the freedom to be who we are. This year, the LGBTQ2S community has another reason to come together. Our community has been rocked by tragedy. The last several months have been a time of grief, frustration, anger, and uncertainty for so many in our community. As we gather today to raise the rainbow flag and the transgender flag, we also need to celebrate the vibrancy of the month ahead. That we will do very shortly. But for now, I'd like us to take a deep breath. and just to be gentle and respectful with each other, and to know that we are here in support of one another in this very difficult time. We as a community need a moment to recognize the victims of recent violence and heinous crimes that have targeted members of our community and the church in Wellesley Village. And we need to come together and recognize that what has happened in our city is historic. There is no precedent, no template of healing that we can draw upon. And we need to recognize that every single way that we grieve and rise from this tragedy is okay. There is no right or wrong answer. And there will be years ahead of us where we will have to sort out and find our way forward as a community. But I know we will be able to do it because we will do it together. We will also take a moment to consider and remember those who are missing and still unidentified, and we will keep them in our thoughts. And to help us come together and to take this pause and to take this breath will be the Toronto Gay Men's Chorus. They will perform Pulse by Melissa Etheridge in memory of those we have lost and those who are missing and still unidentified. Let us focus our attention and our breath together in this space as we hold space to allow for this grieving and as we move forward together as a community before we move on to our month of renewal and celebration.
Everybody's got a pulse, 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 pulse. I am human, I am love, and my heart beats in my blood. Love will always win underneath the skin. Everybody's got a pulse. Once again I hang my head. I can't find the reason why they died. We will find the answer, blow it in the wind. That everybody's got a pulse. I am human, I am love, and my heart beats with my blood. Love will always win underneath the skin. Everybody's got a pulse. Who you gonna hate now when there's no one left but you? Who you gonna gun down if you can't kill the truth that lives inside of us? It's inside our blood, it's inside our pulse, 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 pulse. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. I am human, I am love, and my heart beats in my blood. Love will always win underneath the skin. Everybody's got a pulse. Everybody's got a pulse. I am human, I am love, and my heart beats in my blood. Love will always win underneath the skin. Everybody Everybody's got a pulse. I am human, I am love, and my heart beats in my blood. Love will always win underneath the skin. Everybody's got a pulse. Oh, I am human, I am love, and my heart beats in my blood. Love will always win underneath the skin. Everybody's got a pulse. Everybody's got a pulse. Everybody, everybody, hands up. Hands up or alive. Hands up. Hands up or alive. Love will always win underneath the skin. Everybody's got a pulse. Pulse, 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 pulse.
Thank you so much to Forte, Toronto Gay Men's Chorus. Would you like to give them another round of applause? When I asked if they could perform at this year's flag raising, there was very little to no hesitation. This is an incredible community group that comes out to the community in times of need and times of celebration just to sing for the love of singing. And if you ever want them, you can give them a call. And there is a concert coming up, I believe, on June 15th. Okay, so it's coming up sooner than you thought. Okay, so once again, thank you for that beautiful and moving tribute. The LGBTQ2S communities around the world have been put into very difficult positions under unthinkable circumstances. This year, Toronto, it was no different. The people within our community have needed to be resilient and courageous, and we are here to remind you that you are not alone. As the city experiences heartache, so did our community. Now is the time to find love and strength in each other. Be part of the healing. Let's rise together, let's move together, let's celebrate together. What better way to do that than to raise the rainbow and transgendered flag? And who better to do that than our mayor, Mayor John Tory, who will bring his remarks to the podium and present the Pride Month proclamation to the Pride Toronto co-chairs. Mayor Tory.
Well, good afternoon and happy Pride, ladies and gentlemen. It's such a happy occasion every year to be here, and I want to, as Kristen promised, I'm going to be a bit of an introducer of many others who are here, but it's so important that we recognize the people who are here to celebrate with us today. And this is all sort of in no particular order. It's kind of randomly written down as we spotted people who are coming, and there'll be a couple of people who get a second mention, but that's okay because we're extra specially welcoming them. But may I welcome first my colleagues on City Council, and I'll start because she was the first written down, but also because she has been somebody who has fought for all the things that she spoke about so continuously in such a determined way and so consistently, and that is Councillor Kristen Wong-Tam. We are joined here today by Councillor Paul Ainsley, Councillor Janet Davis, Councillor Paula Fletcher, Councillor Francis Nunziata, Councillor Josh Matlow, Councillor Lucy Troisy, Councillor Mary Margaret McMahon, Councillor Joe Mahevic, Councillor Mike Layton, Councillor Joe Cressy, Councillor Gord Perks, Sarah Doucette, Councillor Jonathan Sow, who is a newly appointed member of the City Council. Where are you? Wave your hand there, Jonathan. Councillor Josh Cole. Now, who have I forgotten? Shout it out. No, not you, sir, but never mind. So I welcome all of them, and we stand here in solidarity with the communities that are being celebrated today and in solidarity with each other in being here today on this most special occasion. May I also welcome our fire chief, Matt Pegg. I didn't see the chief, but he's here somewhere. There he is over there. Thank you very much, Chief. Our city manager, Juliana Carboni, who is here somewhere. Juliana, wave, please. She's right there. Thank you for coming. I'm going to give a second mention to Brent Hawks and to Jeff Rock. Jeff, you're kind of like Bonnie Crombie in Mississauga. Everywhere that you go, you'll be introduced with Brent Hawks, but that's okay. We love you both, and we're glad that you're both here today because MCC is such an important part of our community. And then Mayor Barbara Hall, former Mayor Barbara Hall, where is there? She is right there. We just came from opening up a Seniors Month upstairs, and I told the story of how it's a funny world we live in where on the first day of law school in 1975, totally by chance, Barbara Hall and I sat next to each other, didn't know each other, never met, and of course, 15, 20 years later, we contested the mayoralty together, and we both ended up losing that one, but that was okay. You learn from those, character building, right, Barbara? Yeah. But she served this city with great distinction and continues to serve and be a role model and be an example of leadership to us all in our great city. And then, last but not least, I want to introduce two people from the provincial realm that I've had an association with. Han Dong has been my MPP, hardworking MPP, who I see at lots of different events in the community in which I live, and he's represented that community. I think the lines have changed now, so he won't be my MPP going forward, but he will be somebody else's, and he's been mine. And then my former and respected colleague, Andrea Horvath, the leader of the Ontario NDP. I will just say this, that she and I served in the legislature together as party leaders, and she's still there and I'm not. So you know how that story ended. But never mind, never mind. As I said earlier on, it builds character. This is an important event that happens each year in the life of our wonderful city. But this year, as Councillor Wong Tam said, it carries a special poignancy as we have all just stood here together to acknowledge and remember the missing and lost individuals within the Church Wellesley community. And I know that this has been a difficult year, not just for the LGBTQ2S communities, but it's been a difficult year for all of us who consider ourselves a part of those communities and a part of this broader community of Toronto. We have been confronted with unimaginable acts of violence against community members, and as such, that means those are acts of violence against our very way of life that we so cherish here in the city of Toronto. And I've tried to work hard together with Councillor Wong Tam and with the communities to ensure that the pain is acknowledged and that the voices and concerns of the LGBTQ2S communities are heard as we go forward, because we know that people are feeling anxious and unsafe. Their trust has been threatened, and we know that they have questions that need to be answered. And I can commit to you right now those questions are going to be answered through various processes. It will take some time. We have questions not only about why these lives were lost, but about the LGBTQ2S's community's relationship of trust with the city in general. During Pride Month and all month, we acknowledge that systemic barriers are real, are still real, that discrimination and bias are still very real, and that threats of violence and persecution are real, and acts of violence are still real. And so we have to work hard to confront these issues, to address them, and to tear them down each and every day, all of us, in everything that we do. And I just want you to know that as long as I'm privileged to have this job, I'm dedicated to supporting this community and all communities that face barriers to opportunity and who must confront issues of their own safety and inclusion simply as a result of who they are. It takes time, it takes dedication, it takes perseverance, but we can bring about change. In fact, people who came before me and before us that are here today fought hard, as Councillor Wong Tam said, for that change. And we, those of us here today and others who can't be, will continue to do that together. And we must never feel defeated in that work. We must never feel defeated no matter how slow progress is. Or we must never feel unsure that the goals of inclusion, of respect and security can be achieved. 2 weeks ago, I stood here, right in this very place, and presented the key to the city to Susan Gapka for her work as a trans... Where is Susan? There she is, right there. But I presented it for her work as a trans LGBTQ housing social justice advocate in Toronto and beyond. She shows up at committee meetings of council here at City Hall and says some things that sometimes I don't disagree with, but I need to hear them, and I need to hear them from her. She is the personification of the kind of dedication of this belief, the kind of persistence, and the kind of example of what can be achieved. And at her ceremony, not surprisingly, she dedicated the honor she received to all those who have not yet found their key. And today we stand in solidarity with them and with all of you. You know, I think it's so fitting we had the choir here, because a choir is all about diversity in terms of the singing of the song, and it's about creativity and artistic talent, and it's about solidarity because you have to do it together. And it's so fitting in addition to providing that beautiful song for us. But Pride, too, is for everybody who's looking for the key to full inclusion, to full respect, full security, full opportunity. And it's a time when we as allies reconfirm our commitment to that work. I want to thank Olivia. You know, this is a job that I was going to say it's almost as hard, and I think it probably is as hard as being an elected representative, where no matter what you do, somebody's going to disagree. If you said it was, what day is it, Friday today, there'd be somebody saying, no, it isn't. It's Saturday in Hong Kong or somewhere, and Olivia's got a tough job. But it's an important job, and all of the people working with her at Pride Toronto, the volunteers and the staff and the board, for their hard work in leading into this most important month. And I'm looking forward, this has been a serious speech, but I think it's a speech that has to be made. These are things that have to be said, but I'm looking forward to a joyous, fun celebration and the ongoing community building and partnership that it will inspire. I mean, heavens above, what's going to happen this year thanks to the work of Pride is I think they've made it possible for that most revolutionary of all developments, never before seen in Ontario at a large event where you can actually take a drink and carry it down the street. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to assure those watching on television there is a 0% chance that dogs and cats will be running around in circles because of this revolutionary development brought about courtesy of the Pride organization and changes to the law. Yes, well, that's actually, yeah. Joe's been making reference here to breaking the law in past years. I can't, of course, associate myself with any of that, but having said all that, may I just make one more mention of something that is serious and important, and that is that the theme for Pride in 2018 is 35 years of AIDS activism, to focus on the continuing struggles. And I think it's very important that, you know, a lot of people out there think, and we've made huge progress thanks to all the activism and all the work and the fundraising and the research and wonderful places like Casey House, but there are still a lot of problems. There are still groups disproportionately that have HIV rates much higher than others, and so I think this honor bestowed upon that part of the community and the attention drawn to it is an appropriate way for us to make sure that we don't forget that that's something that still lies in front of us. So I now, if I can just find, oh, there it is down there, the proclamation. I now want to just read the proclamation here, which celebrates the fact that we are home to the largest Pride celebration in North America, one of the premier arts and cultural festivals that we have in the city, showcasing diversity and inclusion and creativity, and to tell you that it goes together with a commitment on the part of this council, and I'm sure it's speaking for all of them, to make sure that we continue to be at the forefront of efforts to eliminate homophobia and transphobia and empowering people to stand up against any form of hatred and discrimination, including against these communities. And I'm going to ask the co-chairs to come up and receive the 2018 proclamation in gratitude for their hard work. And it says as follows. Whereas Pride Month celebrates the history, courage, and diversity of Toronto's lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, transsexual, intersex, queer, questioning, two-spirited communities and allies, the 2018 theme of Pride is 35 years of AIDS activism to focus on the struggles of people living with HIV/AIDS and honor organizations that take action to support those living with and enduring the stigma surrounding this disease. Pride Month in Toronto is the largest Pride celebration in North America, one of the country's premier arts and cultural festivals, showcasing diversity, inclusion, and creativity. The City of Toronto is, and I'm going to add in here, and will continue to be at the forefront of efforts to eliminate homophobia and transphobia while empowering individuals and communities to stand up against hatred, intolerance, and discrimination. The City of Toronto is committed to promoting fundamental human rights and enhancing the safety and quality of life for those who are at risk of experiencing discrimination or violence. And now, therefore, I, Mayor John Tory, on behalf of Toronto City Council, do hereby proclaim June 2018 as Pride Month in the City of Toronto. And I'd ask the co-chairs to come up and receive this. from me.
Thank you, Mayor Tory. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kevin Rambali, the co-chair of Pride Toronto, and I'd like to personally thank all of you for joining us to kick off the 38th Pride Festival and the 3rd Pride Month. Today, we raise both the rainbow and trans flag in what has become an annual tradition. The raising of these flags is a sign for people of diverse sexual orientations and gender identities that indeed Toronto affirms and welcomes them. It is a powerful message for thousands of people, old and young, who come to Pride for the first time this year to find a place in our community. It is a sign of freedom for the newcomer who will see this from their new home, that they can be who they are. And for those of us who have fought for this tradition to be possible, it is a strong reminder of what happens when we work together to create a city that is truly inclusive to all of us. Our LGBT community here in Toronto has a proud history of challenging discrimination and leading in the advancements of civil rights and equality. These achievements I have never taken for granted. We saw that just this year, the Peel Board of Education debated on raising the Pride flag, which they have, to support their LGBTQ+ youth in the region of Peel. Round of applause for that. It's amazing. So one of the things that I enjoy the most about Pride Month is seeing our flags and messages in support in institutions, in community organizations, and in businesses. You can literally see how diverse we are and how that's wound up into a fabric of what makes up this city. I want to thank Mayor Tory and the City Council, including those who joined us here today, for their continued leadership, which has sustained the work that our community has started many years ago. We have harnessed all this energy to create a festival that we can truly be proud of. For the next month, we will take over museums, parks, theaters, and village to create a platform for queer and trans arts and culture. The festival for many of us is important. It's an important moment to celebrate our chosen family or our family of origin, build relationships, and have a unique experience. We will kick off the festival next Thursday with our launch party at the Arts Gallery of Ontario. Our partnerships with the ROM, the Ripley's Aquarium, and the Toronto Symphony Orchestra continue to create new ways for us to create celebrations. Pride is also about returning to the familiar. In 1971, Toronto's first Pride-style celebration was on the island, and this month we will return to Henlands Point for another all-day dance party. Our community has reached out to us to expand the festival, and we've expanded our festival footprint for this year. This year, we invite you to explore new venues with us, like the Wildwater Kingdom. If you want to stay tuned to some of the events, go to our website and download our app. June is just the beginning. We will continue to expand these celebrations and critical conversations year-round. Now I'm going to introduce you to Erin.
Thank you, Kevin. I'm Erin Edgehill, co-chair along with Kevin. As he mentioned, creating a safe space for dialogue is an important part of the festival, but this year we want to take it a step further. Our theme challenges us to not only talk about the changes we want to see in our community, but it inspires us to take the steps necessary to make that change happen. 30 years ago, HIV/AIDS ravaged our communities. People took their partners and friends to get help, only to be turned away and told there were no options. Our community rallied together and advocated. We were relentless. Our lives literally depended on it. We cannot lose sight of our responsibility to care for each other and address the pressing issues that continue to face our community. That's why we've launched Until We're Safe, in partnership with 15 community organizations and 24 courageous community members who have shared their experiences of violence, bullying, and trauma. These stories, for some, may be difficult to read. They may surprise others. They highlight an important reality that many in our community face each and every day of their lives. We are made to feel unsafe in our homes, in our workplaces, and in our neighborhoods, places where other people walk freely. Our hope is that these stories create a dialogue, and we invite you, our community, to participate in that conversation and to identify solutions with us. If we are to create a greater sense of belonging and freedom, we must ask ourselves what we can do as part of that, while holding the institutions that represent us accountable as well. We hope our programming inspires you to take action. We will return to the leadership that started it all by reflecting on the activism and leadership around HIV/AIDS through a series of human rights panels. And we honor Casey House, Canada's first and only hospital for people living with HIV/AIDS. This is a celebration of our collective survival. We will also honor the lives of those we have lost. We hope to see all of you at the parade on June 24th, where we will do both. We will take over Yonge Street with over 150 floats in the largest expression of queerness in North America. And as the parade ends, we will invite you to join us for the Until We're Safe March to commemorate those we have lost in the queer and trans community over the years. This festival would not be possible without the dedicated efforts of our incredible staff, our over 60 year-round volunteers, and our 1,200 weekend volunteers who work tirelessly to make this festival happen. I want to thank our volunteers, staff, and board of directors. As we've grown, they have showed up in droves with passion, expertise, and a love for community for which we are truly grateful. And in that spirit, we hope that all of you here today know that you are seen, that you are heard, and that you are loved for who you are. Thank you. Happy Pride.
Thank you so much, Aaron. And thank you, Kevin, for your very, very good remarks. I think we're ready to raise a flag. Are you ready? So I'd like to invite the platform party to join me at the flagpole. You've done this before. There should be no hesitation. Okay. Okay. Oh, they're so shy this year. Okay. We were hoping for a dramatic breeze, but we didn't get it.